What can you say about Braxton bringing him up and Ferguson getting sent down?
Yeah, I mean, I think just starting with Ferguson, I think that we're just at that tough part of the season where we're going to make, difficult decisions, and he's done a great job, I think, in some big spots for us. He is a guy that I think still has a lot to continue to. There's a lot more in the tank there. I think what we saw and who he was early in the year with the A's and then early coming over, like he's drastically improved in my mind. So it's been a lot of fun to work with him and see him have success. And we're just at that tough part of the season where we have to make moves and help protect other moves that are coming as well. So I think as far as Braxton, he's a name we've talked about here for a while, not just this year in the trade deadline. He's a guy that we saw have a lot of success, in 23 and 24, and a guy that we've had our kind of eyes on there. So I think for Braxton right now, the role of coming in and being in the bullpen right now, I think is a lot more for us to have some protection. I think long term, he's definitely a guy that we see that can start and be a good starter in the big leagues. Where we are in the season, though, that obviously changes things for this year. But he's definitely a guy I think we can keep stretched out, keep in a starting role, and using the bullpen if we feel like we need to.
So multiple innings for Braxton?
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
How challenging is it with all these changes and all these pitchers and you have to make the right decision?
You're always hoping you make the right decision. Hindsight's always 20/20 when you do these things. But in the end, I think we're doing what's best for not only the team, the supporting players, the players around them. It might not be the best decision for that one player, obviously. They're all going to be difficult decisions, but having coverage today allows you to give guys days off that need days off in the bullpen. Like Webb is pretty gassed right now, and obviously we just got Zeferjahn over here. He's thrown 2 days in a row for us, coming off of a 31-pitch outing on Sunday. So we need to have some protection for these guys, and having some length just allows us to do that for sure.
How do you view the starting staff differently than you did, at this time last week after adding Gausman and Holmes?
Yeah, I mean, when you add two veteran guys that have had a lot of success in the big leagues, you feel confident, of what that does to the rest of the team. And I think the way I feel like it is just lengthens and deepens our group. We can talk about starters, you can talk about the bullpen, but to me, they're all interchangeable and they all are interconnected in a sense. If you have good starting pitching and it allows you to push good pitchers you trust like Colin Ray and Javi Assad and some of these guys to the bullpen, then it gives you an opportunity to use those guys in higher leverage situations. Doesn't mean they're not going to start again this year. It's just where we are right now and how we're going to move the pieces around. Just allows us to deepen that group. And again, like I said, it gives us opportunities to give guys a rest where you might have a game where you would normally run 3 or 4 bullpen arms in a row out there. Now you might be able to just let Colin come finish a game or let Hoby come finish a game. So those are some things we're thinking through for sure.
What's the specific process for you let's talk about the starters, when you pick up 2 starters like that?
I mean, the first thing we got to get to know them. I try to do as much homework as I can, either talking to the pitching coaches that they had or people in the organization, the previous organization they had, to get some background information. Really just get to know them, what makes them tick, the type of information they want, the type, getting to know them as their strengths. The one thing I say the first day is, you know yourself better than I do. We all can have an opinion and we look at data and you can kind of get an idea of what works, what doesn't, but I want the player to tell me that. I don't want me to be the one to tell him that. And I think it's a powerful message when it comes from them and you're like, this is what I do really well, and we're like, we agree, So we start there. Then I just start slow dosing in information. Hey, here's some Kinetrax data we can show you. Here's some pitch usage stuff we can talk about. And it's just finding the ways to sneak that type of information in without overwhelming guys. And each guy's different. Like Gauze is very simple. Like he's a 2-pitch pitcher that has a lot of power and doesn't need a whole lot of information. He might need a little bit more mechanical cueing, whereas Clay Holmes is like very cerebral, wants to know kind of where he can go with pitches, what pitch shapes work to certain swing paths. Like those are 2 vastly different approaches, both of them very highly successful pitchers. So I think it's really getting to know them, what makes them tick, the type of information they want.
Tommy, you don't want to get ahead of things, but
with the additions and then guys getting healthy, you could have an abundance of riches here with pitching. Like how exciting is that to look at about how good the rotation and bullpen could go after it's been a question for so long?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just start by saying, like, it's been fun to grind over these last few months, and with guys that have poured their heart and soul into keeping us in the position we are. It hasn't been easy, no doubt, but guys have been working really hard to keep us in a position to have the ability to go add guys like that. It's a good problem to have when we're talking about in 2 weeks you might have Palencia back and Cabrera back and Hoby's in a good place, and what that does, like my big thing as a pitching coach, I just try not to get too far ahead. I think, all right, what do we have lined up for this next week, and then how are those guys progressing, and how can we continue to find the ways to piece them in once they do come back. We have a lot of guys here, though, that have earned the right to be here and stay here, too. And so that's going to be the hard decision is, like, when those guys are ready to come back, what's the next step? And, again, everything we're going to do is make decisions based off what's best for the team and how to best balance out the group.
On the lines of getting to know players with Gausman, what did the conversation go like? Because he said he didn't necessarily say I don't want to pitch today, but he said I'd like to maybe not have to worry about pitching. Just how does that work? Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing you do is I call him and you're like, okay, what's your throwing schedule been like? Because I think one very important thing in this process is, like, guys are traveling. They may have pitched today and then not thrown because they didn't know what the schedule was like. So bullpen schedule is important to know. Travel schedule is important to know. And honestly, it did make sense to give him that extra day, anyway. It would have been cool to see him line up against his former team, but it would have felt a little bit rushed just in terms of the travel and getting him here and getting the bullpen. So yeah, I mean, I feel like we're in a good spot with where we want to line things up, and gives him that extra day to kind of get acclimated here, get the bullpen in, and get his throwing on schedule.
In Braxton's case, you mentioned that there was interest in him that goes back a couple of years. You can see the numbers that a guy puts up, but what makes someone like him stand out to you, maybe above other pitchers you could target?
Yeah, I think number one, just the pedigree, the age, like where he's in the success he had, pretty quick as he came into the big leagues. He's a supinator. We obviously like our supinators. It's pretty clear with some of the guys that we target. Like, he can create pitch shapes pretty well. He's got pretty good spin capability. He's got a really good sweeper and good hard downer slider, and he's got the ability to create different shapes. And I think when you have guys like that coming off an injury and a season where he missed a lot of time with injury and stuff, you can see him gaining that back quickly. And then I think the velo comes when you have guys that are more like that supinator profile. Shapes tend to come first, and then velocity will come, with that. So I think he's just a guy we see that has a good pedigree, and a guy that can create some really unique pitch shapes, and somebody that I also think that can start and have a few different roles with us, but definitely can start too.
Going back to the game that Gausman pitched against you guys, it's looked like he hasn't necessarily been the best version of himself. Would you agree with that? And if so, are you immediately giving him feedback or letting him get a start under his belt? How does that work?
So really getting a sense of where he feels like he is, number one. I think he knows when he's right, there's certain delivery things that are going well, and that opens the door for us to show him delivery things, and it's not really pitch shape for him because he's basically a two-pitch pitcher, and it's about execution, and execution usually comes from delivery, consistency, and some feel with the pitches out front. So I think a lot of what initial conversations with him have been guided and tailored around what's your delivery feeling like, what are some things you want us to keep on top of, and then we slow dose in the things that we can help him with over time.
Could you be using Cabrera in a bullpen role at any point, or is he strictly starter?
No, I think we're definitely open to doing that. I mean, he's got an electric arm. It'd be crazy not to think about him being able to come in a postseason game and throw, the back end 2 or 3 innings of a game. But I think it's important for him to start right now for sure and continue to build up. He looked really good yesterday, and he's trending in the right direction. I think for us, our goal is to get him back as a starter. How things end up at the end of the year, and you know how the postseason becomes. It's kind of an all hands on deck kind of approach anyway. So I mentioned this morning too. What I'm really interested about all the guys we've added is just the variety of arms we have now. They're not all the same. We've got unique pitch shapes, we've got different angles, and when you start to think about that in the course of a season, but in particular a postseason series where you're going to see a team 5 or 7 games, showing them a lot of different arms is really important.
You had three guys pitch in Iowa yesterday. What's the latest on them, and when do you expect those guys to be back?
Yeah, so Cabrera got him up to 55 pitches. The goal was like that 55, 60 pitch range. Really good. I thought the first 3 innings were great. Finished strong, feeling good today. So the goal would be for him to have another rehab outing, I believe, on Tuesday. And just keep building pitch count. He'll hopefully be around that 70, 75 pitch count, on Tuesday. So, again, just kind of evaluating how he's feeling recovery-wise. He was able to actually make a PFP play, too, which is always concerning when you're coming off a hamstring. That was encouraging. Hoby looked good yesterday. Was able to get 1+ 23 pitches. I think it's just continued to build a couple more outings with some quality reps. And for Hoby, he can have a good outing, but it's more about how do you feel the next day, because he's a guy that's going to pitch quite often when he does come back. So when you're coming off of the appendix stuff and anything that's not arm related, usually the arm is not the problem. It's more like how's the rest of the body feel. So just communicating with him through that. And Danny, I thought it was a solid first one. I thought he was a little rusty more than anything. The outputs were great. Like his velos were good, pitch shapes were good. It was more just like inconsistent delivery, inconsistent command. But we know with Danny, that's going to come pretty quickly as he continues to gain confidence. The most important thing, he felt good. He felt strong coming out of it. That checked a big box in, I think, my head and obviously his head, coming off the arm stuff. So, encouraging day for all 3 of those guys.
More outings for all 3 of them rehab?
Yes. Yeah, all 3 of them will have more.
And Ben is symptom-free, but you're just taking it slow so it doesn't pop up again kind of thing?
Yeah, symptom-free with every step. So basically we're symptom-free on flat ground. Yesterday we were able to introduce the mound for the first time, and he felt good today. So it's like, again, every time we're just reintroducing the next variable. And I think right now he's gaining more and more confidence. And early, he'd feel good one day, and the next day it just wouldn't quite feel right. So I think we're at a point now where he's feeling good every day, and now we're just changing the variables, adding mound yesterday, and now we're going to throw like basically a bullpen tomorrow, what we would call our first official bullpen. So definitely trending in the right direction. He's going to keep adding intensity. He's going to start adding in the spin off the mound too. So all those things are variables that are going to be added that are going to could potentially add to him, and that's important for us to.
If you're prepping him to pitch 1 inning, is that or 2? Is that different than prepping him to be a starter? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think, I don't know how much it changes early, because we're still going to get him off the mound every couple days, whether he's a starter, coming back as a starter, or coming back as a bullpen arm. Our goal is just to get him feeling good, throwing high intent off the mound, and then see where we are with the calendar and how fast we can kind of push this. I think there's a real chance we're seeing him in games in like a 2 or 3 inning stint, but also still trying to build him through that process. But we're still a ways away from that in my mind, because I don't want to get him too far ahead of himself as well. He's stacking up great days, and I just want to keep doing that.
With Peterson, is it just as simple as he's now in front of an elite defense, or did you guys work on something? Is there something that's been adjusted that's kind of having pitching at this level?
So our goal when we got him was to get the sinker shape dialed in. And he's got a lot of versatility in the spin efficiency and the shape of that pitch because of some mechanical things that were going on in the delivery. He's very long. He's long limbs. It's hard for him to sync all that up at times. And plus, he's a guy, I know Marquis kind of hit on it, but he kind of lives outside of 90 degrees at foot plant with the arm, which is very unique. Most guys are, when they land at foot plant and their strike, they're within 90 degrees of he lives outside of that. So the delivery timing is crucial for him. If he's not on time, it's going to be very spinny, and that's why he'll throw some sinkers at 50% efficient and some at 90% efficient. His ideal window is like 75 to 80. So our goal with him when we got him is to really hone in on the delivery stuff that was going to make that more consistent. With more consistency becomes more consistent pitch shape and better execution, because now you trust where the movement is going to be and what you're trying to do. So I think that was our main goal, and that's the thing I feel like has stood out the most, is that he's feeling much better mechanically, just in terms of athleticism, but timing, delivery, all that stuff. And we've seen the results. Yes, we have an elite defense, and there's more trust there to be able to rip the sinker and know who you have behind you. But there's also more trust in where his delivery is right now, that he can get the ball where he wants to get it.
After his last start, he mentioned the bottom half. It sounds like from what you're describing, that's why getting that more involved and planting and having it in the right place is good.
Is important. And it's unique, right? When you don't have the pitch shape you want, everybody goes to the hand. Well, it's got to be grip, or it's got to be... But in a lot of cases, it has nothing to do with the grip or what your hand is doing. It's all about the timing in the lower half. And for David, it was much more an approach of let's get your lower half dialed in and see how that syncs everything up with the arm. If we need to make minor adjustments with grip and everything later, we can do that. But his was an example of didn't have the pitch shape he wanted, and we didn't work on the hand stuff at all. It was all about lower body timing, work, strengthening, stuff like that.
Because he gets such good extension, it has to be one of the best.
It's up there, yeah. And he's so long, which is also why it's so important for the delivery timing to be right. Because when it's not, it's an inconsistent move. Yeah.
You mentioned, only wanting to focus on a week at a time, but when you bring in Gausman and Holmes, you have Matt and David and Shota pitching the way they've pitched. How exciting is it to think of getting to deploy those guys in a playoff situation? Yeah,
I think. We have a lot of things we want to be honest with you, I think more about it the regular season, because I think we have a tough schedule, the rest of the way. And we're going to need guys, we're going to need this consistent daily starting group to keep putting up the numbers they're putting up. I think the postseason is actually different, because you can mix and match so much over the next, those next couple those series. But for the rotation this next 3 to 4 weeks, I think it's really important, and it's nice to continue to add good players to support the guys that have been pitching well to this point. And I don't want to sleep on what Colin Ray and Javier Assad have done during this time too. And like I said, we can use these pieces and mix and match them and put them in the bullpen now, but that doesn't close the door on them potentially starting again, if we feel like it's the right thing to do.
Has there been any discussion of the six-man rotation? I think council's done that in the past.
Well, I think technically we're doing a 7-man rotation this week. So, I mean, I've said this before, I don't love doing 6-man rotations unless you have coverage in the bullpen, because unless your bullpen is fresh, you're going with one less arm in the bullpen. So you either have to have a lot of length coverage, or you got to have a fresh bullpen to do that. And it's usually, for me, it usually has to happen when there's a long stretch of games. We're kind of at the end of this 17-day stretch now. We really only have some 10-gamers kind of coming up, so there might be the right time to mix that in and keep guys stretched out. But I think for right now, getting after this off day, kind of getting on a normal 5 days makes some sense. It's not. We'll never close the book on putting that 6th guy in there when we need to.
And how does all this figure with Justin Steele with them? I know he wasn't back for a while, but he is working his way, trying to come back.
Yeah, I think for Justin, number one goal for Justin is get to a point where he's pitching in games healthy this year, and get that confidence. That's going to start at the Arizona level, and then it's going to transition to an affiliate, to Rehab, and then hopefully that ends with us. At a point at the end of this year, and he's fully willing, able, accepted the fact that not enough time to get stretched out as a starter this year, but it's definitely an opportunity to use him in a 2-inning stint, in later in the year. So I think for him, still checking boxes. He looked really good in his bullpen the other day here with us. He's throwing another one tomorrow. So definitely trending in the right direction. I think he feels like he's in a much better place than where he was when he kind of had that setback coming off of his ramp up.
Do you feel like he's approaching the time when he can get go down to Arizona and be in the game?
So yeah, he's back in Arizona now. So he went there yesterday. He's gonna throw a bullpen tomorrow. I think we have one more like high intent bullpen down there, and then we're either like, okay, are you facing hitters, or are we doing kind of that up down simulated bullpen? So we're trending in that direction. He's at 20 pitch bullpens right now. So normally when we get into live BPs, we like being closer to like 40, because you want to have a chance to warm up, and then 15 to 20 against hitters. So we're definitely getting to that point. Yeah.
When you say one more in addition to tomorrow's bullpen?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He'll have one more at least before. Yeah, because we need to keep building the volume. Tomorrow's like 25 pitches, and like I said, I like being around 35-40 before we start talking about facing hitters, just because the volume's and the intensity's gonna increase for sure.
Do you mind just talking about Holmes and Zeferjahn, getting them, and what sticks out to you about them?
Yeah, I think with Clay, he's been a very successful major league pitcher in a multitude of roles. I think that's what's really cool. He's been an elite bullpen guy, arm closer. He's been an elite starter in the big leagues. He's got the ability to create a lot of pitch shapes, and he gets the ball on the ground quite a bit. All the things that you want in like a starting pitcher. He's pitched in the postseason. He's we talked a little bit about spring training, about the work he did with Ben in the offseason. They threw together, they worked out together, and Ben was his little like shadow the whole year. And we saw the year that Ben has had. So getting a veteran guy like that in here that's willing to take guys under his wing too, and keep mentoring guys too, is really, really fun. With Zeferjahn, a guy who we've had our eye on again for a few years, really a unique ability to create pitch shapes at a high velocity. A guy who we feel like it's pretty platoon neutral. As much as he dominates righties, he's going to get lefties out at a really high clip too. And another, just one of those guys though, when you put him in the game and he's coming into a righty pocket, he's going to have a ton of success. So really, really excited about adding him. He's also a guy that's pitched multiple innings out of the bullpen too, and seems to bounce back pretty well. So yeah, definitely excited to have him too. KC boy too, so I'm excited about that.
What's the home cooked meal tonight? What are you having?
I don't know. We have a bunch of people at the house, so yeah, we're gonna have a fun weekend, getting to host some people.
Oh, you're having the team over.
Yeah, no, I wanted if we weren't playing today, the plan was gonna be to have a bunch of people over, but now it's just gonna be fam. So.